Today, I'm going to save myself a ton of money by amending my soil. Now, amending the soil really means adding anything to it that's going to improve the chemical or structural nature of the soil. You could use things like fruits, vegetables, crop coverings, manures, anything that really will add to the nutrients. But for cannabis, I've got something specific that I like to use. So as you've seen in my grows, I've been using the Westport Blend of soil. Now, it's really great soil, and instead of just throwing it out after being done with it once, I'm ready to use the dry nutrient pack from KiS Organics to amend the soil and reuse it again. And today, I'm going to walk you through that process. All right, so after laying my tarp out, you just want to make sure that it is clean of any other debris or dust, stuff that you don't want coming back inside in with your soil. So give it a good sweep first. All right, so the next step is we are taking our spent soil. As you can see, these are 20-gallon containers. They're about half full each. So really, I got about 20 gallons of used soil here. I'm just going to take this and dump it out. Oh yeah, it's kind of dusty. That's why we do this outside, guys. All right, that's one. Let's get this one out right now. And two. All right, so the next thing we want to do is just kind of like flatten this out, lay it out so it can evenly get our nutrients in there. As you can see, got my shovel to do that. I've got my rake, which is nice and handy because you can also kind of pull some roots out of there if you need. And for that, even on a more micro level, I've got this one as well. Kind of sort, scoop out roots, all of that. So yeah, let's get this flattened out here. All right, let's kind of go through and scoop for roots. See if we have big root balls in here or not. I don't really see anything piling up on this side. Let's go and do it the other direction now. All right, we're getting close to even here. And as you see, some of these roots pop to the top. Let's pull these out. All right, and in the end, that's about how much extra root mass I pulled out of the soil. So not much. I took care of my root balls elsewhere, but now we need to blend the soil. All right, so to amend the soil, I am using the KiS nutrient pack. This is actually a Twin Peaks Chad Westport blend. You guys may be seeing more of that soon, but I'm also using some worm castings, some Vermibec worm castings from some good people up in Canada. They had sent me those, so I'm going to be applying those into the soil to amend it and give it more nutrient charge for the new plantings. The KiS Organics nutrient pack is recommended at 0.8 to 1.6 ounces per gallon of soil. And again, I have about 30 gallons of soil, or no, sorry, 20 gallons of soil here. I'm going to go with 1.5 ounces per gallon of soil. That brings me a total of 30 ounces of dry amendments from the nutrient pack I'm going to put on. And for the worm castings, I'm going to go at about double of that ratio. I'm going to go with 3 ounces per gallon. So that's about 60 ounces of the worm castings going to mix into the soil. All right, so to help me in this process, you know your little watering cup? Well, if you flip it around from the milliliter side, you'll actually see that it has cups and ounces. So this is going to help me measure things out. And a lot of times, with dry amendments like this, it's always good to wear a respirator because as you'll see, when I'm pouring this stuff, there's a lot floating in the air. So always wear a respirator when you're pouring your dry amendments. All right, so let's level this off here. And again, we're looking for about 30 ounces of this for the 20 gallons of soil. And I'm sitting, oh, I'm right at 32. Come on, let's go with it. 32 ounces, let's go. All right, guys, so a couple things when you're actually putting this into the soil. Yes, we do have to mix it in, but don't just dump it in one spot. You want to try to apply it as evenly as you can, but also don't do it from, way up high because, again, this is going to powder and get into the air, and then why the heck did you use precise measurements if you're just letting most of it float away? So yeah, we're just trying to get an even spread of nutrients, which we're going to come back and we're going to mix in by hand. We mix it in with the rake, we'll mix it in with the shovel, we'll do a little bit of watering, multiple things you could do here. And if you notice too, I am doing my best not to step on the soil because again, you don't want to compact it. We are going to stir it and mix it up, but again, if you can avoid stepping all over your soil, do so. Okay, so we got about 12 ounces left. I'm just going to kind of just start going across. Again, we're doing our best to get this as even as we can, and we still have our worm casting to add in here too. All right, that's it for the nutrient pack. All right, next we go for the worm casting. Same deal, try to get it spread as evenly as you can. And when you're going through your worm casting, if there's just like big balls or chunks in there, try to break it up into smaller pieces before you put it on. But don't worry guys, I've got 2 of these I need to put on. So one for one side, the other for the other. All right, so before I get back in there with, you know, the shovel and the rake, I just kind of like to go in here with my hands and mix up some of the stratosphere. Because again, I can put my fingers all the way to the bottom. I can then kind of toss the nutrients together, and it's still kind of keeping it in the same zone. So it's not like you're shifting all of it to one side and then the other. Still kind of trying to keep it fairly mixed up. Remember to blend your edges, because the edges usually don't get the nutrients poured right on top of them. But yeah, just kind of go around and do this, and then I will get back in there with the shovel and the rake and mix it even further. All right, so now that everything is kind of locally blended by hand, just come in here. I'm gonna start turning stuff over, start mixing your soil. Again, you can't over mix the soil, but you can definitely under mix it, guys. So don't be afraid to spend a little bit of time and effort on this step. If you have a small enough amount and you're in the tarp, you can just almost kind of lift the end of the tarp here and play that fun game of just, woo, watch it all shift. And then you just go back and forth with it, rock it back and forth. That's a good way to kind of mix things up. Kind of pull it back down and then do it all over again. But yeah, first step, hands, second step, shovel. All right, I'm probably breathing heavy by this point, but I've got it all, you know, mixed, folded back and forth with the tarps, shoveled, and I'm pretty happy with how it's blended. But now I'm just gonna flatten it out one more time with my rake and get everything nice and even before the next step. All right, so it's all flattened out again. Our next step, so I'm gonna take my hose and we're just gonna give it a light dusting of water. Kind of get it a little bit moist, kick some of the ingredients into action. You don't want overly dry soil. You don't want things to be hydrophobic, but they were staying fairly, well, there was a little bit of moisture when they were in the can, so we were good there. Just gonna give it, you know, a little bit of water, let it soak on through. And I'm gonna leave it out here to dry for just a little bit. And then the final step, which you'll see here in just a second. All right, so the last thing to do here is bag it up. All right. Actually, I'm seeing it's a little bit dry on the bottom, so maybe I'll give it another sprinkle here real quick, light sprinkle. All right, so I went back and I added a little bit more water to this, bringing up the moisture content. And now I am getting it into the bags. And there you have it, 4 brand new bags of soil, fully loaded with nutrients, ready to go for pennies on the dollar. So again, guys, in a few easy, simple steps, you can amend your soil and reuse it. And there you go. It really is that easy, guys. It just takes time. It takes a place to store the used soil to build up to, you know, a meaningful amount as a home grower to go back and amend it. You don't want to just amend a 3-gallon pot. So yeah, save it in some trash bins, put it all together, amend it like you just saw me, and make sure you do water it down to field capacity, which means it's dripping out the bottom, and then let it sit for a little bit. And then you bag it up and you're good to go. So thank you for watching this video. I am Chad Westport. Stay locked on the Chad Westport YouTube channel. If you like and subscribe, even better, share this video. That helps me a lot. If you want to pick up some gear or collectible merchandise from me, chadwestport.com is the website. And I've got a whole bunch of discount codes to save you even more money. Those are all down in the show notes. So again, thank you for watching today. I hope you all enjoyed. And remember, everybody, to party on.